Hey everyone, Ekman here with another video, and last night we held our first FB07 tournament for the Fusion World card game. We had 35 players, 5 rounds of Swiss best of 1 into this top 8 that we see here. And real quick before we get started, if you guys are new to the channel, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe. We make a lot of content for the Fusion World card game, and I don't want you guys to miss it. Also, if you guys want deck lists for this event and many others, you can find them on my website, Eggman Events, which is going to be linked in the description too. So for this event, again, 35 players, 5 rounds of Swiss, and of that we did have a top 8 of 4 copies of Red Cell, 1 copy of each of the Boos, and then 1 copy of the Blue Shenron, and a FB02 cell of all things, so which is kind of exciting. But we also do have the leader breakdown, right? So 7 people played Cell, and 4 of them went X1 or better, which is pretty good. Shenron was able to sneak into the X1 there, but 5 people on it. Piccolo Superhero was not able to get into a... I don't think they even went 3-2 based off my results either. Yeah, we weren't able to get a Piccolo in there. We do have a good amount of Golden Frieza with 4 of them playing, and 1 of them getting into the top 16. And then we also do have the Vegito, the Shenron leader, and then everything else is just one of. So what that actually means is that one person was on the each Buu, and they both went X1 into this event too. So I think this deck is just clearly still really, really strong into this meta. So I do know this is the first week. I also do know that sometimes on the online client, it's trickier to find and obtain the cards as easy. But I do think that it's something where these decks are still very viable in their own way, and I am very surprised that there hasn't been a restriction onto Cell or any of the Buu decks. We'll kind of talk about when we go to the list, but I really don't have any evidence that it's not the best deck right now, which is I think most people are kind of agreeing with right now. But there could be some shifts, there could be some ways to interact with it, but it's going to be really, really tough. This deck is just still very, very strong in all it says. So again, if you guys want any of the deck lists that we have, we can go over that. We've got top 8. We also are going to go over a Son Goku GT, a Vegito, a Bardock, a Son Goku Childhood, and a Frieza deck. And if you guys want to look at any of those, you can find them on the site as well. We're going to start off with our first place list, which is Giovanni's build of the Red Cell. And sincerely, this is just the build. I think most people have decided this is the best 50 to play this deck, and I've seen it multiple times do very well, right? We also did go over some Japanese list, and unless I'm incorrect, this was the same 50 for 50 that they used. It's just a very, very consistent deck for how we want to do, right? The fact that we have all these card draw, the fact that Android 18 is really good at like getting incremental removal. Self-destruct has been shown to be just a very good card in this current meta too, being able to just KO most cards in most decks, which is great. And then also like the 5-drop loop is just, there's so much value you get from this, right? A 25k attack, a 30k attack into a 40k attack from our leader, being able to get incremental removal as we could do it. And then we also have the Cell Junior. And if we're at like enough energy, we can then self-destruct the Cell, get another card draw, being able to play another body out, generally like an Android 18, which can include this 20k attack or a card draw from this one. It's just so good, right? There's just no lack of like consistency from these builds for it. So I do think this is a deck that I still think something should be hit. I was talking to chat last night about it too. Kind of the consensus, I think a lot of people, one Cell Junior is absurd. Maybe this should just be like a hard once per turn kind of thing. Maybe it could be an errata if they want to do that, but the fact that you can just play out 3 and not really feel bad about it, and worst case is a 10k. Like we have 30 cards of this 50 card deck are 10ks, which seems a little high, especially when like we have like no reason to like there's like no negatives for playing any of them. They're all just very, very good. So I'm also kind of I think this 5-drop Cell is like a little bit overtuned too. I think that since we do have our another 5-drop Cell that we can play off of FB07. One, no one's using it, but if we want to, we could change this to, we could limit this card to 1 and then it'd be the other one. I do know this is kind of important for the playstyle, but it just gets so much value, right? It's a 10k, the fact that it draws on play, the fact that it essentially draws on KO. There's just too many like recycling things you get to do with it that I think is a little bit consistent. But here's a build from Giovanni. Congratulations for their first place there. Next up, we've got Majin Buu, and so this is Giancarlo's version of the build. And again, only person on the deck today, and still able to get an X1 finish with the deck. I think it's been a shift, and I will say that I have been a little bit absent in the last couple of weeks to see, Cell become the best deck and Majin Buu Evil. I think just slightly go down the rank going to second best, but it's still obnoxious in what we get to do, right? Having 8 cards that are 10ks that can rest for 1 is absurd, especially when half of them are in archetype. Bobbity, I've been seeing less and less people play this card in general, right? Which I think makes sense. It is still a very good value card, but it's not as if you don't play it on curve, it's a little bit tough, and it's not. I think most decks kind of have ways around it, so it's not as good. 4-drop Majin Buu Kid too. Clearly a very good card, and if anything, it's keeping a lot of decks at bay. Like, if you can't interact with this card cleanly, which Red Cell can, but not a lot of others can, that's it. Like, you just can't do anything about this in a lot of ways. So I do think that's something that's tough for these decks in general. The fact that they have to, you have to be able to, contend with these barrier cards. The fact that 5-drop Majin Buu Kid is still very strong. I think this deck is still very, very clean. And I think, honestly, something needs to happen to it as well. So I think this card needs to go to 1. This has been, like, always my problem with the deck, right? I think 3-drop Bobbity is obviously, like, obnoxious, and I'm happy that this card went to 1 too. But this is, I think, more of the problem card in my mind, right? The fact that this card can attack and restand, and, like, it works super well in a lot of situations. Like, we've got this build from Giancarlo. We also do have like the OG FB04 build here from JT. Same kind of thing, right? The fact that we're able to just get so much advantage. Like, for Majin Buu Evil, we get 220k attacks, 230k attacks, and maybe made our opponent discard 1 if we had like the 3-drop Bob. Like, there's just so much ways for this deck to do well. It's very, very tough for you to ever grind out of advantage, right? And then Buu, just you get, same kind of thing. Like, you just get so much pressure. The fact that you get like a free stun in most situations, I think both these builds have been very good. So last thing I would mention is that this Majin Buu Kid, I think, has been more popular, especially since, if it's KO'd, you can play into Majin Buu Kid here. You get the card drawback, and then you get to kind of end your opponent's turn because you rest everything but their leader, which can also just be really impactful. So the other thing is I've been seeing more people play Majin Buu Good just as a way to like rest or like stun things, which is great. We obviously still play 4-drops on Goku and the rest here, and then also for Majin Buu Kid, Janemba, I think, is still very good. We kind of want to awaken a little bit more early. There's like a decision on the 3-drop Barrier Buu as well, which I don't think we're playing. Now, we're not playing from Giancarlo, but JT is playing that, since they are playing a couple more, or just 1 more of this Bobbity, and then the rest of the deck here. So I really also do like for this one, I do like the fact that I'm surprised we're only playing 3 of this Bobbity, but I like that we can do the combo where we play this, and then with this effect, we're able to give a blocker to one of our Buu cards, and then if we do, we can use our Awakened effect to untap an energy on your opponent's turn, which then means that we have 1 open for Results of Training. So I think that's, like, honestly a really good, like, value loop. It's one of the reasons I would like playing Majin Buu Evil, is because of that. And of the builds I've been seeing of Majin Buu Evil, this is definitely like a more unique one, which is really interesting. So here's the build here from JT. Congratulations for their top 4 as well with Majin Buu Evil. All right, moving on to I would say out of the strict clear tier 1, we've got Shenron, which I think this deck has been very good into this meta already. It's a very complex deck when it comes to deck building and also playing the deck, right? The fact that you put cards back into your deck, like, you have to remember what cards are still in rotation for that. There's a lot of different ways to interact with how this deck works, right? And most people, generally speaking, like, the build consistency of this deck is 46 Shadow Dragon cards and then 4 Vegito, right? This card is a Self-Awakener that lets you mill 3 every turn if you attack with it. You just have to include this card. It's no real brainer for this one. So the fact that you are able to, like, I do like this 5-drop Shenron into the Omega Shenron is great value as well, right? You get a 30k attack into a 35k attack into essentially like a 65k double attack if you need to. Burst attack has just been absurd. It's like, this might be unironically like one of the best board clear cards in the game. This is on me. I just thought it was 1 card you got to choose to do this, but the fact that you just get to choose everything and remove everything is just so good. So, like, there's so many times where I'm like, well, I'll play Black Smoke Dragon, and then I'll play like Nova Shenron, and then I'll use the burst attack, and then I just get to, anything that's rested, I just get to like free clear the board, which is really absurd. So I think there is some decisions on, like, if you want to play Naturon Shenron, or the if you want. I think this card has popped up like once or twice, but it hasn't been as good. I do think, like, when you're missing, like, this being the only like 1 cost ability we get in the entire deck is a little bit tough. So I might consider like playing some, like, well, obviously we can't play peel off, right? But any like 1-drop like card cycle might just be better than what we have, just because, again, we don't have I think we have some room to playing some more non-Shadow Dragon cards just a little bit, but like, there's so many times where I'm like, well, I have to end the turn with one energy opening. It feels kind of bad. But Ice Shenron's very good, especially if you're playing against Cell, because you get to bomb deck their 1-drop androids, and then also Nova Shenron being able to bounce 4 last back to hand. I think you got to play a couple copies of these. So I'm not sure how I feel about this one too. The 1 KO effect is kind of tricky, especially when red cell is so present. They just bypass it by reducing it to 0. But being able to attack 25k but 2 times is also just a really big boon, especially if you have burst attack as well. So we'll see how this deck kind of works out in the next little bit. I think it's very viable in this meta right now. I know a lot of people are still adjusting to it, and I'm kind of fearful. Like, this deck does kind of have the ability to go like infinite in value, and that's pretty strong and pretty good. So this is a build from Nicholas. Congratulations for their top 8 there. And the wrap up with the top 8, we've got Zach with their build of FB02 cell, and I've been saying that cell has been a menace, but not many people are saying this one. But the kind of idea for this one is you just kind of have like this. I will say this is a little bit of a cheese deck, but it does work. And the idea for it is that you're supposed to just get a lot of energy. This combo is like from day one, right? The Tragedy and Gingertown activate main if your leader cell. Choose any number of your battle cards with Earthling and their special traits and add them to your energy and rest mode. So we got a bunch of those early Earthlings. We got Farmer with power of 5. We got Bulma. We've got Bulma. We've got Master Roshi. We've got Hercule. We've got Master Roshi. You just play those early, and if they survive on the board, you're able to put them into your energy. I will say that if you're playing against Cell, they will not be leaving these 5Ks on the board since they're playing their Android 18 to get rid of them. But if they, for whatever reason they do, you can get that free ramp, which is really nice for this deck. And then from there, like, sincerely, like, you don't really even I think like the idea is like you get the free ramp with that, and then you just have like a lot of ways to kind of go infinite in value, right? 5-drop Sun Gohan or 8-drop Sun Gohan is fantastic, right? There's like no reason to not play this card. It's a 5k, but also it's just essentially like a 5-cost thing, but also being able to like recycle your energy too, because then if you have like the Master Roshi, it has to be a 3 or more, but you can use it to like get back the unlock ability, and then you can use Master Roshi to put it back into your hand, and then you get to from there, what did you get? Yeah, in rest mode. Yeah, and then you can just use it with this. So like you get these options to get these abilities, which is really interesting. So we'll see what that kind of looks like as well. But I think like, and then we also have like Android 16, which then we can KO with our Broly to be able to bring back the Son Gohan Childhood. So like we go from 1 life to 3. Like there's a lot of like unique combos that exist because of this deck and how it works. It is like a little bit, I think, clunky, and I think there are some decks that you can go for. I wouldn't say this is like an immediately viable build, but I think it's a really interesting build, and it's cool to see the success that Zach was able to see with it. So this is the 8th place vote. Congratulations to Zach for their finish there. So other than that, we're just going to run through our X2. So these are all decks that had a record to get into the top 8, but they did not get the tiebreakers to do so. We're going to start off with Nick's version of the Son Goku GT, and this really is the set of like so many decks getting so many incremental support cards. And for Son Goku GT, we got this Trunks GT. So if your leader is Son Goku GT and you don't have an energy marker, you get to place 1 energy marker. So that's really great. It's also searchable off the Pan GT, which means that you're able to now find any of these Trunks GTs, the Son Goku GTs. So this just has like a lot of great targets in this deck too, especially if you still want to play the game where you play Son Goku GT on curve and get that marker every turn. So that is really, really helpful. But generally in this deck too, like we kind of need the marker because we don't really have a great way to generate it otherwise. So because of that, being able to say, you know, oh, for like the thing is that this is free to play as well, right? You use one energy and then you make a marker, so like you still have as much energy to use as when you started with, which is still great. So the ability to do this, and then like you can do something like play Son Goku GT and then use your leader effect to make it a 45k with double strike. So a 5 essentially with 2 cards, but you become a 5k or sorry, a 5-drop because you no sorry yeah, a 5-drop because you use a leader ability, so you use the 1 to give the 45. 1 just being able to be a 45k double strike for like this minor combo is super duper strong, and the fact on like a 5k body that's also searchable off the Pan GT. So all this stuff is just kind of good from there. So other than that, we kind of know what like these decks look like. I know that the Son Goku GT, a lot of people are still using this guy, is like a little tech ad. We might see it pop up a little bit. Obviously, it's made for the Shenron deck, but hey, sometimes we do get to 7 energy or 6 energy with a marker. So this is honestly like a pretty good board clear in a lot of situations, and kind of presses the advantage on your opponent. So we got like respect, especially since we could do something like, for whatever reason, if we have like the Son Goku GT, we can play this card, remove everything, attack with this, get the marker, and then we make this like a 60k base with our leader effect, which is pretty dang good. So other than that, I think this deck is in an interesting spot. I hope that it continues to do well. And I know a lot of people are kind of got their eyes on it. Like this deck has never been like bad, right? Like it's just, there's like a lot of chances for like the amount of like energy you get. Son Goku GT can carry a game by itself if it survives and doesn't get answered early. And I think that's something that's really, really strong. So here's a build from Nick. Congratulations for their finish with Son Goku GT. The next up, we've got Vegito, and we've got Clay with it. And the first couple games in the event, I think we happened to just watch Clay's games. And this deck is looking kind of nice, if I'm going to be honest. We got one new card, which is the 3-drop Vegito. So want to play add up to 1 card from your life to your hand. Then place the top 3 cards of your deck into their owner's drop and activate main. For 1, place this card in your battle area into owner's drop. If your leader is Vegito, play up to 1 Vegito card with cost of 4 from your drop. So that does mean you get to play the 4-drop Vegito from the same from what FB05, being able to use this to return a 4 or less to your opponent's hand, and then also prevent 3 or less. So a pretty good like way to even if you just go like attack this 25k and then spend 1 to attack with a 30k, right? Where so many of these like chain attacks that we have in the game right now, this is pretty good. But also in like other situations, we can use that to get this Vegito, and then we can use that to get like another 15k attack, and then we can go into like the 6-drop Vegito from there, right? So technically we're spending like 6 energy, but if we don't have this card in our hand, we have a way to find it, which is really, really nice. This is playing a Vegito from your drop as well. So you're not even like losing card advantage to do so, right? You're just generating a lot of attacks, and you're getting that kind of ability. So Savior of the World, one of the best cards, I think, in this game, unironically. A plus 15k for no real cost in this deck is really good. Piercing Sword of Light, I think, is a little interesting. I don't know if this searcher is as worth it. I don't know if I'd rather just get like the +1, but being able to put 2 cards into your trash 3 with this card is not too bad. And then 3 copies of the CU, which is also just great too. So generally speaking, I think this deck is in a good spot. We also do have a reason to play the Shin because the Potara also finds our 3-drop Vegito, which is quickly becoming one of the most important cards in this deck too, and can be really helpful, especially since I guess it finds like the Piercing Sword of Light and Vegito too. The only other issue is that we are playing like, and I guess also this Vegito, right? We're also playing 60 cards, which seems like a lot, but we do just get through our deck pretty quickly. So I think it's kind of warranted to play at least above 50, maybe even like 55 instead of 60. But yeah, the milling of this deck is great, is like improved a lot, especially since the Vegito, it's not optional. You have to mill the 3, which does make a difference, but does mean like you get to go to 20 cards quickly. And the fact that this like self-awakens and you have more self-awakening. All of this is just really, really good. So here's a build here from Clay, and I definitely want to test out this deck in the near future. So there it is. Next up, you got Bardock, and I kind of mentioned a lot of this during Son Goku GT, but this deck's like never been bad, right? It's always had like a lot of ways to get a lot of card advantage. I think also we do need like more Bardock crew cards to exist, right? I think we kind of got this leader that focuses like really hard on the Bardock crew trait, but didn't really print a lot of cards for that advantage, right? But this Bardock has been pretty nice for the deck. It's a 2-drop, it's a 10k, so being able to get the combo effect off our leader with this is cool. And then for 2, place this card in a battle area in its owner's drop. If your leader is Bardock, draw 2 cards. Then during this turn, the next time you use a card with 4 or less cost and Bardock's crew, you don't have to pay the cost. So I think it's asking for a little bit much to like use this card in the idea of like, oh well, I can play this on 2 and then my opponent won't interact with it, which is very tough to do when you're playing in a cell meta. But if you're able to play this out and then you can still do new legend, you get to play a 5 cost from our hand, which is then this Bardock, right? So we're not like super teching into this combo though. I think we could do more so if we want to. We're also playing like 52 cards, but because we also do have another Bardock that we can get off of this as well. The 5-drop from FB05, so we can get this crit one that also lets you like get this like incremental damage. So I think both these are just really, really good. I think there are some chances for Bardock to either like lean more into it with the new legend and stuff, but just draw 2 and just having more cards that are named Bardock crew for just like incremental draws, I think, or combos off this can be really strong. I think that can help you in a lot of situations. So I don't have much more to say about this deck. I've really enjoyed Bardock in the past, and I definitely want to try it in the future. I do think like against Cell though, Cell is such a tough matchup for these decks though, because we do really depend on these Son Goku GTs, or we'll do these combos where we get these big 5-drops and 4-drops, but then they just have like so many ways to remove it while generating their own advantage and building their own board, which is really tough to see. But here's the build here for Son Goku GT from Bardock from Julio, and congratulations for their finish there. Next up, we've got the Son Goku Childhood, and this is the tournament or World Tournament version with all the extra cards. And I'm really surprised to see this one get into this event. I tried very, very hard to make this deck work in SBO1, and I just never found any chance to do so. Especially again, like this whole deck, like so many decks in this meta, I feel are gate kept by the fact that they want to generate these bodies and keep them on the board for as long as possible. For example, with Jackie Chun, this just gets us a card draw every turn. And if we're playing against red, they'll just be like, cool, I'll self-destruct it, and then it goes away. Like, what are you supposed to do when that kind of thing happens? So I do think that's like tough for Son Goku Childhood in this meta in general, but still the support you got from SBO1 has been really strong, right? The Son Goku Childhood as well as the Great Ape Son Goku. There is also the new promo Tien. If your leader has World Tournament and special trades, play one Tien Shinhan, cost a 4 from your hand, then you can't play it for the turn. So just like another, it's a 20k attack that turns into, makes a 30k attack too, which can be really good. So that can be helpful for the deck too. And then like later, like you can like cross arm dive this back to your hand, then you can play out something. Actually, it has to be, sorry, it has to be 3 or less. Man, this card is like, they made sure this card isn't broken, but like it just gets so unfortunate that you can't get these abilities too. So yeah, the fact that you can't bounce this back is kind of tough. But other than that, I think this deck is it's a fun deck. It has like a lot of moving pieces, and when you're doing well, it feels very, very good. It's just sometimes it's tough to get started, and there's a lot of ways for your opponents to kind of interact with it. But here's the build for Kevin. Congratulations for their X2 finish with Son Goku Childhood. And to wrap it up, we've got Ryan's build of the Frieza. So I'm not a big fan of this deck. I'll be honest, right, as we get out of this. And the biggest reason is that it's so tough for this deck to really defend. Like it gets so close to winning, right? The fact that you get to grind out a lot of value, the fact that you get to do your combo of like 5-drop Mecha Frieza into 4-drop King Cold into something like Meta Cooler. But this deck really, really depends on your opponent putting you to 4 life and then keeping you at 4 life, right? Obviously our great combo is playing out the Golden Frieza for 1, right? But it's never that easy. It's never been that easy for this deck to do so, which is really, really tough to see. So like the fact that you have like these 1-drop Friezas, like you get to, I think if it let you, like, how would I say it? Like maybe like take a card from like the bottom of your life. I don't really know. I don't really know the best way to fix how this deck works. Maybe if like this leader awakened at like 5 with like a different condition, that would maybe be better. Then you could go from 5 and then from there you can go, like, we have, like, if this awoken at 5 and didn't draw a card, I'd actually be a little bit more happy about this deck, but mostly because like in Shenron we see in this meta it awakens at 6 and then but you don't get the card draw, but it's way, way earlier. The fact that you can, like, you have to go down from 4 life to 3 life using the Golden Frieza stuff, and like it just doesn't. If you want to be like this defensive deck, being a 3 life leader with no, like, as still like a base of 20, it's just really, really tough for the deck, right? So I don't know how I best feel like this, right? We do have like ways to make like these blockers, right? Like this could be cool for like a blocker that also heals you. That I just feel like blockers are just, unless they've got barrier, they just can get removed so easy in this game. But being a 5 cost means it's not as easy to remove. We also do have the cooler, right? This being able to get a card draw every turn. The meta cooler has been really great too, being able to like set up our plays, greatly. But it's just, you just play out all these cards, and we do have like a good amount of 10Ks too. But it's just, you also just have a bunch of non-counters, and like it's very tough for you to get the sequencing. I think like if you were to like play this deck at max efficiency, it feels like your opponent has to help you a little bit by putting you into the spot to gain the most advantage, right? And I don't think that's going to happen very often. But I think like going X2 is really impressive with this deck still. This is Ryan's build as well, and I'm looking forward to seeing if it can do well in the future. It's just, I just feel like it's a little bit clunky for where it is, and it's you will set up a really good board, but then you'll be at 3 life, and there are a lot of decks that can really punish a 3 life leader right now too. So not much more to say. Here's the build here from Ryan. Congratulations for their finish there. But that's going to be it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, if you guys want to see any of the deck lists, you can find them on my website, Eggman Events. We also live streaming this event as well, so you can check that link in the description. And I'm looking forward to more FB07 results in the future. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you all next time.